I am a huge X-Men fan who read so much. 2019, we get Jonathan Hickman's new House of X and Powers of 10. It was a 10, but it was the letter X, so which meant 10. And I got to watch that whole story play out until it was ended unceremoniously early in Inferno. That was around 2021, okay? Beginning of that year. There goes the X-Men that he was planning because they wouldn't leave. There was a vote that all the editors, all the writers voted, no, we're going to keep going with what we're doing here. And he was trying to get to the next act, something he pitched when they hired him. And for some reason at this point in time, it was disputed for him to go further with the story, to get into the second act of the story, to the third, because, stories have beginning, middles, and ends. And why would you sign somebody with the understanding that that's what he's doing and then value the books over here happening on the side? The New Mutants books, the Marauders book, the X-Force book, all these other books that are happening. There's a bunch of series that are happening, but the main plot is where we're going. Jonathan Hickman, big writer, successful outing. It was well liked. There are people who are going to say that it's not for them. I understand that, but majority of people liked it. It sold, and for some reason, Jonathan Hickman was vetoed out. Or if you put it the way the editor said, yeah, he just went the other way. He stopped telling that story. Whatever. We know what happened. I heard him do a podcast interview about it. I was irked by it. I even read that comic book, the Inferno comic, that was like, $6. So they added a little bit more pages. I think he used those pages to take shots at the writers. I did a video on it. Go read Inferno issue number 1 on my channel. You can go find it. Here we go to the new editor, Tom Brevoort. Or Brevoort. Tom is the editor. Jordan D. White is out. Mr. I don't read comic books. #catch up January. That guy's no longer with us anymore after this. And the new era for the X-Men is in Tom's hands. They're calling it From the Ashes. So, this is the page for the trailer. You notice that there is an ad. This didn't used to happen. Marvel used to, what's going on here? Marvel used to just have trailers, and the trailers would be trailers. But look, I gotta watch this whole ad. So, I'm not gonna watch the whole ad. What you got? Xavier's School. After the fall of the X-Men, mutants are feared and hated. Alright, they're trying to say back to normal. More than ever. M. And the fire still burns. So I notice a lot of Jubilee in the comic book. That's a character who they're going to spotlight, it feels like, a little bit more than they usually do. She was a member of the Betsy Braddock book, but never had her own Jubilee title during this run, this era. Even when there's 13 titles, which I guess it really doesn't matter if you have your own title. When there's 13 of them, it would matter if she was like, after the X-Men book, she was the second book that was announced, and I would go, oh, it looks like they're getting behind Jubilee. And the writer is Al Ewing. We'll see what they do. Or the writer is Gail Simone, because Gail Simone is the one who's heading this. The first writer I've saw announced. This summer. They're underground. Okay. I remember her. She was one of Hope's one of Hope's 5 lights. Her name is like 3 letters. E-I-O. There's a Y in there. This is Quentin Quire. And we got Magneto. Okay. Here's the thing that pisses me off. That's a black character. Clip me. That's a black character. And it feels like they're hot and cold. Oh, wow. Hot and cold. It feels like they're hot and cold on certain black characters, right? And I was covering Quentin Quire. So here's Quentin Quire on the side. With this mutant over there, I don't care that they're using a black character and I go, whoop-de-doo, hooray, a black character is being used. I recognize that Sync was heavily featured in the prior run. And as his push was going along and furthering, it seems to have stopped. But don't worry, we're still doing black, and we get this character. How in the fuck are people with that skin tone and characters with that skin tone supposed to get hot and popular if they're constantly being exchanged for another? I haven't watched this whole trailer through. I haven't seen the whole X-Men era through. But I recognize Storm for being the only mutant of consequence and worth. Shown and proven correct by Pepe Larraz's artwork for X-Men 700. She's the only one there with skin that looks like that. Because she's the only one that's ever mattered. Because she's been perennial, often being used. And the mutant that you got here, I am not happy to see her because I know just because this current writing staff have a likening for her doesn't mean it'll carry over, as proven by Everett Thomas Sink. As proven by times when people would get hot on Bishop or times where people would get hot on insert character here. You're not doing more because you're representing more characters. Hey, no, the enemy of representation is quantity. I would much rather have had the focus be concentrated on a character like Sink than we're so not racist. We're spreading the love, baby. You like black men? We got black women. We got black this, black teen, black. Because when I do the top 10 rankings, when IGN does the top 50 ranking X-Men, it's pretty Caucasian in the top because the black ones kept getting exchanged here and there. I'm done that rant. They really think that doing this is supposed to get all the advocates for representation. Obviously, we got to combat white supremacy. They really think they're going to get those guys, people like me, like trumpeting and beating the drums and saying, oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's been a while since I've seen her. No, there's a reason why it's been a while since I've seen her. And I don't want to see her if you're not going to use her. Prepare for something uncanny. I know him because of his cards. That's who Rogue is married to. Some people don't like that. These are Wolverine's claws, and that's Dazzler. Or Jubilee. It's Jubilee. An exception. So maybe there's going to be a title called The Exceptional X-Men with Emma. Maybe that's Kate Pryde. Might be Penance with the haircut based off of the spikes. It might be Emma Monet. And I don't recognize who this is with the hair. But again, I'm not thrilled. Yes, another black character. If this character existing will, in contrast, be juxtaposed against the white characters who are leading the way, then what are you pushing? It rhymes with white supremacy. That the white characters are leading, and yeah, black characters keep appearing in our franchise, but it's never to be the focus. Then creating more black characters makes more problem. It makes, oh yeah, there's more black characters. And where do they belong on the ranking? Remember that ranking I brought up? Where do they fit? Somewhere down in the bottom half of the top 100. If the top 100, we'll see. Who's this woman here? Don't know. On the red. Okay, we got the familiar faces over there. Psylocke. Okay, Magic. This might be different titles, depending on... Yeah, look, Rogue and her husband is here, Wolverine. So this is probably one comic book. And hey, look, guys, when they notice everybody's white, oh, let's get somebody black in there. Maybe I'm digging, right? And then these guys might be their own comic book franchise also, with Cyclops and Beast and Illyana and maybe that's Quan on there. And Kid Omega and Quinquire. Maybe they're separated by franchises, and these will be 3 series. Whichever one Gail Simone writes, which might be this one here, because they're in the center. And then that Emma Frost could have her own franchise also. These could be the cover art. What do you guys think? You think this is like a big cover? These are 3 comic book franchises? I get my answer. I should have waited. So Uncanny is done by Gail Simone on the left. I was wrong. She'll be doing the one with Wolverine here on the left. And Jed McKay, Ryan Stegman. Oh, Ryan Stegman. Oh, Eve Ewing doing Exceptional X-Men. I'm very pleased to see Eve Ewing do something that I said doesn't happen, which is Eve Ewing. Do something that I said doesn't happen. I said that these guys, Marvel, they don't have a ladder to climb for black writers. It's you do the Black Panther book and then you're out of there, you're gone. But to see Ewing and Carmen Carnero, quality talents, get a chance on Exceptional X-Men, a new beginning. I like this because while let's recognize that it's not the X-Men title, which is like a legacy. It has readership, it has a history, or the Uncanny X-Men, which is another franchise that has a history. It's this new one called the Exceptional X-Men. So I do recognize still that she didn't get the premiere of these three. Just that there are 3 comic books in there and she's in bronze, 3rd place, is at least something that's kind of cool. It's a little bit more than Vita Ayala Marauders. It's a little bit more, just, one of 3. That's something. It's also not you're the head writer of Uncanny X-Men. It's also not you're the head writer of X-Men. This could be a symbolic gesture, depending on how the story plays out. Or this could be substantial. Cassandra Nova? I like this. Whoever did this trailer. Inmate X. From the Ashes, a New Beginning. This begins in July of 2024. Go to your local comic book shops, pre-order it, because just because it's on sale July, it doesn't mean you go to the store in July and you say, I like a comic book, thank you, there's my sale. The sales were already determined when the comic book shop was doing their orders. So communicate to your comic book shop owner and say, I am going to be collecting Exceptional X-Men, written by Eve Ewing. And I'm going to try to make that book sell more than the Gail Simone title with Wolverine or the Cyclops title with Jed McKay. I'm going to go over to the Eve Ewing side and make sure that is not an under-ordered comic book because the writer is a black woman. We're actually going to do the opposite and fight and hopefully not create stigmas. We're going to create the stereotype that we're going to create the perception that the Black Panther writers are good enough to be part of the main comic book titles, which would mean the ones like Captain America and Iron Man and Avengers and Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and hopefully the major X-Men title. To everyone who's like, Chillmonger, why can't you just celebrate? She's doing the X-Men, Nah, it's not the X-Men. It's not Uncanny X-Men. And we see Jed McKay's name was in the middle of that trailer also. I can't not see these things. Let's be real. But Carmen Carnero is talented as an artist. So good. So it's going to be an enjoyable read. Oh, yeah, and then, Gail Simone and Jed McKay, I'm sure they could be doing a good job also. But what's the overall story? They're coming from the ashes. It looks like all these mutants are in the... they're down low. They're not together. They're all in different places. And they're kind of escaping the sight of humankind. They're in a low place. What's going on with Resurrection Protocols? I'm not reading any of the Fall of X, Rise of Powers of Fall of X. So I would imagine that the Resurrection people can't resurrect anymore. I would imagine that would have to be necessary. So whatever place they're in, I'll jump on. Especially with the Eve Ewing book. I appreciate you watching me, but don't leave yet. I mentioned this artwork that Pepe Larraz drew. He got some flack on Twitter, and the thumbnail is that one there. Controversy of the day. You can click on that to hear what I think about it. Long story short, there's a good reason why Storm is here, and there's a reason why she's standing where she's standing. She matters. Don't tell me that Sync should belong here on this page when we literally see the new era of X-Men from the trailer I just watched with you, and we can see how not featured he is.